Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. It's been a pretty wild week on the market, with the bottom 5 cards on our list being what I would consider to be safe haven investments, and the number 1 card on the list being a buyout. So let's get right to the list, and we'll start right here in the number 10 spot percentage wise this week with Sylvan Library. This card's up 49% this week to almost $60 even. Sylvan Library is well sought after for Commander. It's an enchantment that is 1 green and 1, and it's a funny kind of long-winded way of saying you may draw 2 extra cards during your draw step, and for each one of those that you want to keep, you pay for life or put them back on top of your library. There's a bunch of printings of this card, most recently the Eternal Masters printing with awesome new art, and all of the other printings are about $10 cheaper. So if this is a card that you're looking for, one of those options may be your best bet. Taking up the number 9 spot this week, we have Manaval from 5th edition, currently valued at $50, and this is also up 49% this week. Now, as I mentioned, the bottom 5 cards on the list this week are all cards that I would consider to be safe haven investments. There's a lot of speculation right now that with all these sort of government stimulus checks that people are dumping money into sort of safe play cards. These are cards that aren't necessarily on the reserve list, so they can be reprinted, but would never be reprinted into like a standard set. So the sets that they do get reprinted into, things like the various master sets and things like that, it just doesn't put enough volume in there to affect the price long term. As we can see, this had a printing in Ultimate Masters, which is actually one of the highest value versions of this card's at almost $60. You can still get the 4th edition version for like $35, so that's definitely your best bet if you're looking to pick up a Mana Vault. But like I said, when these did get reprinted in Ultimate Masters, they obviously took a dip, but we're back up at much higher levels than we were before the initial reprinting in Ultimate Masters, and that sort of plays true with all of these types of cards. In the number 8 spot this week, we have Mystical Tudor, specifically the Classic 6th edition version, currently valued at $22.50, and this is up 52% this week. It's the highest priced version of this card. There's actually quite a bit of disparity between the different printings. So you can get the Eternal Masters for around $20, and that has the awesome new alternate art on it. But the original Mirage printing is only $15, so that's definitely your best bet. And I do believe that these versions or all these different printings will sort of catch up with each other. So grabbing up some Mirage versions, if you can find them for around $15, is a good investment. So our number 7 winner this week is Willowseder from Legends, the only printing of this card and currently valued at $125. This thing's up another 56% this week. Now, it made our list back in January when it was around 40 and it jumped up to 60, and since then it's more than doubled. Man, this thing is a rocket ship that just keeps climbing. Now, it is on the reserve list, so obviously supplies on this card are extremely low. Willowseder is 2 green and 2. For that, we get a 1/1 creature, and we can tap it to gain control of target legendary creature. It has been errated to say legendary creature rather than just legend. Now, as long as Willowseder remains tapped, you have control of that legendary creature, and if you don't untap Willowseder or lose control of it, you essentially just keep control of that creature. So being able to swipe people's commanders in Commander is a pretty good deal. All right, in the number 6 spot this week, we have Concordant Crossroads from Chronicles, currently valued at $38.95, and this thing's up 66% this week. It's been going up for a few weeks now, and the reason for that is because of one of the new Commander 2020 commanders, Xyrus the Writhing Storm. Now, I did a deck tech video on Xyrus, so if you're interested in that, I will put that up in the top right corner. Make sure you check that out. Essentially, what Xyrus does is it makes a snake anytime an opponent would draw a card if it's not the first card they drew during their draw step. So essentially what you do is with Xyrus is you just wheel a whole bunch of times, make all your opponents draw a bunch of cards, and then if you have something like Concordant Crossroads gives everything haste, you're going to make a bunch of snakes, and essentially you can just run somebody over. Pretty good deal in Commander for sure. All right, in the number 5 spot this week, we have the latest bad boy from Standard. That's right, it's Agent of Treachery from Core Set 2020. Currently valued at $9.95, and this thing's up almost 80% this week. Now, I do believe that if we weren't so close to a rotation, I mean, we're only 3 or 4 months out from a rotation. I believe if we weren't so close to a rotation, Wizards would probably very strongly look at banning Agent of Treachery. This card's just too broken, and there's too many ways to abuse it. The current way that's getting used a lot in Standard right now, and it's actually kind of raping Standard, is Luca. So the new Luca Planeswalker from Ikoria has a minus ability. When he comes into play, you can sacrifice another creature and then reveal cards from the top of your library. Until you reveal a creature, put that directly into play. So obviously the deck only runs Agent of Treachery as a creature, and then it just runs a bunch of token generators, things like Omen of the Sun and stuff like that. So you sack a token, and then every time you're going to get an Agent of Treachery. And of course, it's in the colors where you have things like Thassa, so you can just blink Agent of Treachery every turn and just give your opponent a very bad day. Now, I do believe that this is going to start making a splash. These decks are starting to show up for Pioneer and Modern, and once we actually start playing these sort of in paper and in person, I think that there's a distinct possibility that there's a good Luca deck out there, because it's only 4 mana for Luca, so you can get to him pretty quick and just, like I said, give your opponent a really bad day. Our number 4 winner this week is Mishra's Bauble from Cold Snap, currently valued at $27.50, and this thing's up 84% this week. Now, of note, both of the other versions, the Iconic Masters and the most recently printed Mystery Boosters version, are currently priced around $15, and I do believe that these are going to close the gap over the course of the next couple of weeks or so. So grabbing up these if you need them right now is definitely your best bet, and I would get on that right away if you do need copies of Mishra's Bauble. Gaining a lot of popularity recently because it's showing up in a lot of modern red decks, mostly sort of prowess type decks. So you essentially throw out your Mishra's Baubles for free, get a bunch of prowess triggers, just extra way to sort of get that damage in there really quick with red deck. Our number 3 winner this week is Echo of Eons from Modern Horizons, printed at Mythic Rarity, so relatively low printing, currently valued at $13.50, and this thing's up 93% this week. So it's another wheel effect. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library and then draws 7 cards. This one has flashback, so you can do it twice. Obviously works really well with the Xyris Commander that we were talking about earlier. Does have some legacy play, but definitely we're seeing a spike because of Xyris this week. Our number 2 winner this week is up 127%, and that would be Misblade Shinobi, specifically the Plane Chase Anthology printing. This is definitely a printing specific spike. You can still get the original printing Betrayers of Kamigawa for under $1, so if you need to pick up some Misblades, that's definitely your best bet. All right, our big winner this week is Final Fortune, originally printed in Mirage, currently valued at $10, and this thing's up an astounding 354% this week. It's kind of a Hail Mary card. For 2 red, we have an instant that allows us to take an extra turn after this one, but then we lose the game at the end of that turn, so you better know what you're getting yourself into with this card, that's for sure. It also has 2 other printings, 7th edition and a classic 6th edition. If you need to pick up one of those are definitely better value at around $5. Now, this is definitely a buyout. All versions of this card have been going up this week, so it's not like one particular version or anything like that. They all kind of got bought out at the same time, and you can see a massive spike in no matter which particular version that you look at. All right, before I get to cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for being here. I really appreciate your support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I post at least 2 videos every week. And speaking of posting videos every week, I'm going to be posting a bunch of IKORIA box opening videos this week, some regular booster box openings, pre-release kits, things of that nature. So if that interests you, make sure you check those out. All right, let's kick things off with Grafdigger's Cage, most recently reprinted in Core Set 2020, and this thing's a screaming deal at $1.80. Now, Kevin over at the Rogue Market did a video this week on now is the time to be buying Grafdigger's Cage, and I can't agree more with that guy's statement. Grafdigger's Cage at $2 is just a phenomenal deal. Originally printed in Dark Ascension, it's had a couple of printings lately, so between Modern Masters 2017, the original Dark Ascension printing, and then a Core Set printing, there's a lot of volume of this card out there. It seems like it's unlikely that this would be reprinted again anytime soon, so you can expect it for these prices to start creeping up from here. Up next, we have Steel Overseer, again most recently printed in Core Set 2020, currently valued at around $2.20. There's a bit of disparity between this one and the various other printings. It has a dual decks printing, it's like $1 more, and same with the Magic 2011. The original printing's around $1 more. Stuff from Core Set 2020 is starting to all bounce up off of bottoms. I mean, this had an all-time low of $2, so we've definitely bounced up off of there. And the supply on Core Set 2020 obviously is starting to dwindle, so these good quality cards like Steel Overseer, the ley lines, I've mentioned them all before. Now's a great time to be picking these up before they're just going to quietly creep up in value, and you're going to look back at this card, one day going, wow, this thing's $3, $4, $5, whatever, right? I remember when I could have got this for $2. So take the plunge now, pick it up now at these prices. Speaking of ley lines, the core set 2020 version of Leyline of the Void is only $10. It's still a great deal for this card. The other versions run between 12 and $18, so there's definitely a bit of disparity, a bit of catching up for the core set 2020 version to be doing. Leyline is a classic staple as sideboard tech in various formats like Pioneer and Modern for sure. And I think once we get back to playing paper Magic and people start building, people will definitely be building Pioneer decks that take advantage of some of these new companions. So Leyline shuts a few of those down, like Luris and things like that. Definitely a great pickup at $10. And last but not least, we have our speculation play for the week. That's right, it's Fires of Invention from Throne of Eldraine. Currently priced at just under $1, and this is a great card to be picking up at these prices. It's going to be in Standard for a while yet. It's also starting to appear in various sort of Super Friends versions in Pioneer. Now, this card was priced at around $2-3, and then it got printed in the Challenger decks as a 4 of. So that really demolished the price. But like I said, this has a long life still in Standard. It's definitely going to be seeing some decks crop up in Pioneer, and then also of course Commander usage. So being able to pick these up at under $1 is a fantastic long-term investment. All right, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching This Week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.